What do Marvel, Apple, Lego, Airbnb, and Walt Disney all have in common? Every single one of them was either bankrupt, days from collapse, or laughed out of every room they walked into. This is the story of 5 empires that should never have existed, and the one thing that saved them all. Story 1. Marvel. In December 1996, Marvel Comics filed for bankruptcy. The company that created Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the X-Men was completely broke. Their stock had crashed from $35 a share to just $2. Over a third of their employees were laid off. Desperate for cash, Marvel did the unthinkable. They sold the film rights to their greatest characters. Spider-Man went to Sony for just $7 million. X-Men went to Fox. The Hulk went to Paramount. Marvel had sold off their entire kingdom for pocket change. And it got worse. When Blade hit theaters and made $70 million at the box office, Marvel received just $25,000. $25,000 for a $70 million film. But in 2008, with only second-tier characters nobody wanted to buy, Marvel bet everything on a movie about a man in an iron suit that nobody believed in. Iron Man made $500 million, and in 2009, Disney bought Marvel for $4 billion. The company that couldn't pay its electricity bills had built the most valuable franchise in Hollywood history. Story 2. Lego. In 2003, the world's most beloved toy company was hemorrhaging $1 million every single day. Lego had expanded into theme parks, clothing lines, video games, and television shows, and they lost their soul in the process. They were producing over 12,000 unique brick types. Their supply chain was a disaster. Debt hit $800 million. Analysts predicted bankruptcy within 18 months. Then, in 2004, a 35-year-old former McKinsey consultant named Jürgen Vig Knudstorp became CEO, the first non-family member in Lego's history. He asked one question: what is Lego? The answer was simple: a brick. He sold the theme parks, cut the clothing lines, slashed products from 12,000 to 7,000. He burned everything that wasn't the brick. By 2014, just 10 years after near bankruptcy, Lego overtook Mattel to become the world's largest toy company. Their profit that year was $900 million. The same as Facebook. The humble plastic brick had won. Story 3. Apple. In 1997, Apple Computer was 90 days from bankruptcy. The company had burned through cash, launched product after product that flopped, and cycled through 3 CEOs in 12 years. Microsoft's Windows was everywhere. Nobody wanted a Mac. Dell's CEO publicly said, "I'd shut Apple down and give the money back to shareholders." Then the board made one phone call to a man they had fired 12 years earlier. Steve Jobs returned as interim CEO in September 1997. Apple had $300 million in cash left. Jobs killed 70% of Apple's product line overnight. He laid off thousands. He struck a deal with Microsoft, Apple's biggest enemy, for a $150 million investment just to keep the lights on. Then, in 1998, he launched the iMac, then the iPod, then iTunes, then the iPhone. The company that was 90 days from death became the first company in history to be worth $1 trillion. And Michael Dell's company, worth a fraction of Apple's today. Story 4. Airbnb. In October 2008, Brian Chesky was sitting in his San Francisco apartment hot gluing cereal boxes together, wondering if Mark Zuckerberg ever had to do this at Facebook. He was $40,000 in credit card debt. Every major investor had called his idea insane. "Nobody will sleep in a stranger's house," they said. So Chesky and his co-founder, Joe Gebbia, did the only thing they could think of. They designed presidential election-themed cereal boxes, Obama O's and Cap'n McCain's, bought cheap cereal in bulk, stuffed the boxes by hand, and sold them for $40 each as limited edition collector items. They made $30,000 selling cereal. That money kept Airbnb alive long enough to get into Y Combinator, where Paul Graham invested $20,000 for 6% of the company. The same investors who laughed at them watched Airbnb go public in 2020 at a valuation of $75 billion. Brian Chesky still keeps an Obama owes box on his desk as a reminder. Story 5. Walt Disney. In 1919, a young illustrator in Missouri was called into his editor's office at the Kansas City Star newspaper and told he was fired. The reason? He lacked imagination and had no good ideas. That man was Walt Disney. He didn't stop. He started his own animation studio, Laugh-O-Gram, in 1922. It went bankrupt within a year. He moved to Hollywood and created a character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, then lost the rights to his own character through a contract dispute. On a train ride back to Hollywood after losing everything, he sketched a new character, a cheerful mouse named Mortimer. His wife convinced him to change the name. Mickey Mouse was born in 1928. By the time Walt Disney died in 1966, he had won 48 Academy Awards, a record that stands to this day. The man told he had no imagination built the most magical empire on Earth. Today, the Walt Disney Company is worth over $200 billion. 5 companies, 5 complete failures, 5 empires that should never have existed. Marvel sold Spider-Man for $7 million, then built a $4 billion empire from the characters nobody wanted. Lego burned everything that wasn't the brick and became the world's most profitable toy company. Apple was 90 days from death, then became worth $1 trillion. Airbnb sold cereal to survive, then changed how the world travels. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination, then built the most magical empire in history. The lesson? The difference between failure and empire is never talent. It's never timing. It's one thing: the refusal to stop. Subscribe to Venture Files for more such blueprints of power.